Yeah, and of course they're going into lecture theatres and they're doxing and they're photographing anyone who's supporting Israel. They're photographing Jewish students. So it's they're picking one student body group over another student body group because the Jewish students, they're staying away from their courses and their lectures. I mean, they are scared to be on campus.
Yeah, and I've heard some terrible things too, and let's not mince words on this. When you talk about doxing, when you were talking about giving out somebody's phone number, you're only really doing it for one reason, and that is so that they can be on the receiving end of verbal and maybe even physical violence. So that absolutely should be seen as being beyond the pale by anyone who's running a university.
Hey, you wrote a fantastic column over the weekend in The Australian about the erosion of religious freedoms in this country. We were promised religious protection as part of that deal when marriage equality passed a little while back. I mean, 2016, it's a long while back. We've got nowhere in this whole debate. I think religious people of faith are feeling more vulnerable than ever. What's going on here, Chris?
What we're seeing is an encroachment by the state and what people of faith are allowed to believe. We're essentially getting a state-based religion, and that state-based religion should remember where it comes from. Where it comes from is from Christian ideals. The idea of universal human rights is an avowedly Christian idea. In Paul's letter to the Galatians, where he talks about there being neither Jew nor Greek, nor free nor slave, nor man nor woman, except we're all one in Christ Jesus. That's the beginning of a conversation with people about the fact that there are such things as universal human rights. And the Christian tradition was bound in both faith and in reason, and that's what sets the liberal democracies on their road to what they are. That's what really animates Europe. And we've forgotten that. In fact, there are people who would be prepared to deny that. Now, I don't, again, deny the growth of a state-based sense of morality, but it should remember where it comes from, and also remember that the UN Declaration on Human Rights demands that there be religious freedom. That is something that we are yet to entrench in Australia, and it's something that's under threat from the state. We are seeing a state-based set of moralities now, which are telling people how they can educate their children and who should be allowed to educate their children, and that's not something that we should countenance.
Well, I urge my viewers at home, if they haven't read it already, to give it a read, Chris. It was a beautiful prose, but very powerful sentiment as well. Hey, I just noticed you're in Gladstone too. You're a long way north of Canberra. I suspect it's a bit warmer than Canberra this time of year. Any intel about what you're up to up there?
Yeah, look, I'm actually in Roma, you're right, on my way to Gladstone because I'm following the LNG pipeline from here to there. We went and saw some farmers today who are hosting wellheads on their properties. We've seen the hub where the gas gets pushed down to Gladstone. Let's not forget, Peter, where our money comes from. $75 billion liquid natural gas exported from Australia last year. When you look at the effect that it has on budgets around Australia, and it's not just LNG, but of course it's coal and it's iron ore, but those commodities over the course of the last 20 years have lifted the revenue in the budget by $100 billion a year. So when you are looking at the things the government's handing out tonight, remember where your wealth comes from, remember where your food comes from, it comes from here.